All right.
Okay.
We live.
We
Let's
live.
get to it.
Welcome back to the Alexander's Approach.
All right.
I am Don.
I'm Charles.
And we have some special guests here today.
Yeah.
Good friends. We're going to let them introduce themselves, and then I'll give some background on them as well.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brittany Greathouse. People also call me Be Great.
I was just about to say, be great.
I went to Southern Illinois University, Carbondale, which is where I met all of these beautiful people. Well, not Nate. It goes a little bit farther. Well, actually, shoot, we go farther back too.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry, Charles.
I know. I'm just here so I won't get fined. That's all.
I currently live in London. 31, from Chicago, but Bolingbrook specifically.
B-Brook.
Yeah. Let's go. The Brook, what's up?
Nobody ever want to
That's
claim
not cool.
Bolingbrook.
Don't even sound. I'm sorry.
First of all,
the
From the
Brook.
Brook.
we going to let you finish,
Alright.
but don't hate on Bolingbrook.
Okay, we get back to that later.
It's okay. People hate on Bolingbrook.
Yeah.
All the
Always
time.
do.
Okay.
I would call myself a hybrid entrepreneur. So I do entrepreneurship, and then I've been in corporate America too for almost 9 years now.
Nice.
Like a hybrid entrepreneur. I'm still that.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nate Randall, real estate Nate, and also from Bolingbrook. Also went to SIU with these lovely individuals.
Shout out to Salukis.
Shout out to the Salute.
Shout out to the Salute.
I was about to say,
That's how you everywhere, man.
Yeah,
Making
everywhere.
major
yeah,
moves.
honcho on tour. Come on.
Yeah.
I was just about, don't be modest.
Yeah.
This is not, you're not modest on Instagram. So let's talk.
Well, hold on. What are you doing on IG?
No, he's not extra on Instagram, but I feel like he is the head honcho. So let's talk about
He
it.
be
Like,
talking shit
he
though,
talks
man.
ish. Like, let's talk about it.
Okay.
All right, 31.
He's like, y'all want more? I'm gonna give y'all more.
No, 9 to 5 wise, I do sales. I work in financial services, and entrepreneurially, I do real estate. So I've got 31 apartments that we own and manage, split across like 8 buildings.
Nice.
31 doors.
31 doors.
31 doors.
Huge.
Nasty.
Huge.
That's a big deal. Let's like give the props for that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
31 doors is crazy.
Absolutely.
Like,
We gonna
I
get
know,
to
like,
that.
when you first posted that, I'm like, man, like, it's rough for anybody to get 2 doors or
Yeah.
1 door. So the
Yeah.
fact that you have 31 doors, like, I think that is
one
something
building.
to, like,
It's a lot for a lot of
yes,
people.
like, so that's great. So shout out to you
Thank
for
you.
that.
But I heard him. He still got his 9 to 5 though.
For sure.
Yeah,
We gotta get into that too.
For sure.
Yeah.
we definitely need to get into that.
Multiple
Like,
sources.
multiple
Yeah.
sources of income
Yeah.
is very important. I'm a big firm believer of having your 9 to 5 and keeping it, and then
You
like
are.
doing other endeavors, and then when you get to a certain point, like with your, I guess, entrepreneur endeavors, then maybe you can quit that 9 to 5. Like, do you think you will ever quit your 9 to 5?
I contemplate it, but I think about it like this: like you look at the people who got way more money than the type of money we talking about, and it's like Bill Gates, P Diddy, whoever, they still show
Always
up to
think of
work
Diddy.
every day,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like, is there a number that's attainable that's like, okay, I get this number and then it's
Yeah.
good? So for me, it's like, because the real estate is very passive, you're gonna want to fill your time. So I think I'll probably always work. But I think my work right now is probably more so about the financial aspect versus the fulfillment. And I think as I grow in the real estate, then the career changes to more fulfillment, less financial.
I think it's more of like, is it conducive to my lifestyle?
For sure.
You know, 'cause
That
I
makes
feel
a
like
big difference. Yeah.
if you have a career that's flexible, that's challenging, that makes you happy, and also pays you well, I feel like you're less likely to leave it. Right? But if it's something where it's like, oh, I can't see my kids' games, or I can't travel how I want to, or I'm not getting paid enough, then it's not worth it.
Yep.
And I think all of us have flexibility. So like that probably makes a big difference. Like I can't imagine like having to actually go into work a 9 to 5 every single day, plus, you know, that 9 to 5 and doing all this work and then still trying to do all these different endeavors. I feel like that's much more of a challenge. So
Exactly.
It makes you wonder if our generation, how we view quality of life, is different from the past generation.
oh, I think it is.
Absolutely.
Right?
I think
we think about it differently.
I think we think
in
bigger.
the past, well, we think bigger because there's more resources available to think
I agree.
bigger, right? Because I think in the
We
past
see
it was like
more.
years ago was like, okay, let's make sure I'm taking care of my family. They got a roof over their head, they got food on the table, and like we're good.
Yeah.
Now it's like that's the standard. Now we want more, right? We want
I love that
properties.
for us. I love that
it's
for
just
us
like
so
we
much.
think it's so much bigger. So that's a beautiful thing.
And you just bought a property too, right, Brittany?
Yes, I did.
How
You
you
know,
doing?
Hey, let's get it.
now I'm on my 5th door.
Come
So
on.
let's
Let's go.
count those doors. I never
saw it.
counted it as doors.
Yeah.
But now I'm gonna be like, you know, We have what, 5, 6 doors? Okay, cool.
Yeah, you know.
Man, we put 5 solid doors.
Doors sound much more, that sounds much better.
Yeah,
It
it
does.
does.
So how was that experience? Was it good?
It was easy, but I would say it's easy because I'll go back. If you haven't watched their past episodes, you have to.
You better.
Just let you know. But
I heard that.
Charles brought up something called net building a little bit. It seems like net worth, but 2.0. But I would just say, like, long story short, if I didn't have the community I had and the support I had, this building wouldn't have like gone through. I think I closed in 29 days. So it was
Wow,
like
that's
pretty
fast.
seamless.
Epic.
Yeah,
Wow.
literally
That's fast.
found the deal through my agent. Shout out Chantel Franklin. She is like A1.
Dope.
Okay.
I found it. I was like, hey, I need to see it. She saw it. I saw it through FaceTime the next day. And literally.
You saw it through FaceTime?
I saw it through FaceTime.
Wow.
I was in London. And I mean, it just was a coincidence that he was in London at the time. Real estate Nate. And so I was like, let me get the approval too. I was going through. I was like, looks good. Chantel was like, it looks great. Nate was like, hey, if you don't buy it, I'm gonna buy it. And I was like,
That's how you know.
yeah.
That's how you get you to hurry up and buy it
Bet.
too.
Put in a hefty earnest money,
Yeah.
and like Chantel did her thing, worked the deal, everything just
Amazing.
worked out. Biat did the inspection.
Oh,
Shout out to
yes.
Biat. Shout out to
I heard some great
Yeah.
things that
Yeah,
Biat
let's
been
think of
doing.
inspection.
Yes.
I see like he moving around with
Yeah,
that.
that's
Yeah,
right.
so
Salukis.
literally,
Salukis.
yeah, Saluki. So a whole team did the whole process.
All while you were in London?
all while I was in
Wow.
London. I
That's
literally just came back to
crazy.
close,
That's crazy.
and that was it.
That's hard.
Yeah,
That's
so
hard.
hit her up if you all want those people because
Yeah.
clearly those
Yeah.
are great people to have on your
Yeah.
side.
I literally-
you're in
yeah.
London and they do all that.
Yeah.
I literally told like people, they were like, "Oh, how'd you buy this?" Like, I'm just scared about what happens after you buy the building.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
literally, it's the team. I'm like, I have the same fear. Like, the building I had before that is a condo in South Loop. So, and my tenant is great, like amazing. I never had to deal with multiple tenants.
Yeah.
So now I do have a fear of that. But since my team is so strong, I'm like, oh, we're gonna be okay, right? We'll figure it out.
Wow.
We'll figure it out.
You just made me think about something, Brittany. So, like, I think 2014, 2015, TV remind me. I applied for a position in Dubai. Right.
Let's go.
Yeah.
The goal was to create a college planning department in Dubai for this school there, right? And the interview was super rigorous. It was like 2 or 3 interviews, like create presentation, whatever, right? It's a whole process, right? End up getting a position. This before we were married. We were married, yeah.
No, I think we were married. We weren't married. We were about to move. Yes, we were about
just
to
got
move
married?
into our building. We had just got
Oh,
married.
just got married.
Early.
No
A
kids
few
yet.
months later.
Hey, no kids yet. And the thing was like, okay, we take this position. What we gonna do about the building?
And they offered
we had
they
just
offered me a
afforded
role
the
too.
building.
Remember, they offered me a role too.
Right, and they
in
was like,
Dubai.
yeah, if you come, like, so in Dubai, like,
0% income tax.
No.
exactly. I was gonna say no income tax. They're like, we provide the housing. The salary was like low, but it didn't matter because they paid for the rent.
To us,
and
it
there
was
no,
low.
It's to us, and there's no income tax. So I was considering. And we just kept talking. We want to have kids, so we just bought this property. We gonna manage the property.
gonna manage
and we
the
was
property.
new in the game, so we didn't know. We didn't have any resources,
No resources.
right? But like, think about what you're saying. Like, we really could have made that happen,
Yeah.
even in Dubai.
Like, look, Brittany lives in London.
That's what I'm
She
saying.
lives in London.
Like, that would have been crazy.
I was about to say, wait, Nate lives in Charlotte.
Oh yeah, that part
That's
too.
right.
Right?
So-
Like, I think people
Yes.
always forget, right? He's here so much that he has this perception that
That's so crazy.
he's here, but
Right.
he really isn't here.
Yeah.
And it's just like literally all his properties, 100% is in Chicago, right?
For sure,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
And it's just like he's always been in Charlotte. So also it's seeing too. It's like, I think that's big too. How you talk about like from our parents, like seeing people doing things via
Yeah.
social media or your friends doing it
Yep.
makes it feel like
It's
I
real.
can do
You
it
can
too.
do it. Yes,
right?
attainable.
absolutely.
It's attainable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nate, let's talk to the people, man. So you got 8 properties, 31
31 doors.
31 doors.
Yep.
How did you get in real estate? And the second question, how do you maintain? How do you continue to keep going? Like, getting multiple properties.
Especially while living in Charlotte.
And I want you to give how much you've invested, the number into real estate.
Oh, okay, all right. So I'll say 31 doors. I'll ask y'all first. 31 doors. How much do you think those 31 doors cost me?
31 doors. 31
How much
doors
is it,
in
how
Chicago.
much it
Cost
cost
you
me
upfront?
cash?
How much
How much it
cash
cost
you
me
gonna put
cash for this real estate portfolio?
I
How much
would
money did I
assume-
bring out of my own pocket?
So
31 doors at least 100K. At
I'm
least
thinking
100K.
conventional loans. What was that? 10,
Even with loans,
20%?
I would think 100K.
Let me think. You got 8 properties.
Come on.
Hold on.
He's working at Logic.
Yeah, no, I know. Look, you see,
Hold on.
those eyes.
Right.
Feels like a movie where he's like,
Yes,
stop it.
yes.
I swear. At least 180, 200.
I say at least 100K. A minimum.
15,000.
Not possible.
$15,000.
Not possible.
So here we go, right?
Yeah, break this down, bro.
Don't spend that tax money.
The very first deal that I got, very first building I bought 7 years ago, it was an FHA 4-unit building. It cost me all out the door about $15K. Okay. Since then, 7 years ago, I've never touched a dollar earned in real estate unless it was to go get more real estate. Right. So the way I look at it, we built this portfolio over time. The only money that I've taken from like having to save elsewhere, from a 9 to 5 or whatever, is that initial money to go in. Everything else has either come off of equity, pulling out money, selling properties. Yeah. Right now we're at 31 doors, but the way I look at it is I've been playing with the house money the whole time, right? Besides the $15K that I put in initially, every time we've amassed new deals, whatever that down payment, we're at down payments now, a couple $100,000, sometimes $100,000, whatever the case may be.
But it's there.
It's all coming from the fruits of those investments. So a lot of people, when you go, people say all the time too, it's like, oh, I need to get this next job. I make this much money, then I'll save as much more money. But most of the time, it's like you make more, you spend more, right? So this whole 7 years, I've never like the lifestyle is just off the 9 to 5. I've never brought in the real estate income to.
So asset wise, you're for sure a millionaire.
For sure.
Maybe multi.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, with all those properties, most people with one property, you're gonna make a nice amount of money. So I can just imagine with 31 doors.
For sure.
So what is like your end goal?
So, and that was the original
And
question,
right?
How do I get in? So everybody talks about retirement plans.
Yes.
Everybody 35, 30, 40, I'm retired. I never really hear people say after that statement, how? Right? I'm not the stock guy, but what I do understand about stocks is like they don't pay checks. Like either the stock goes up, you can pull out some lump sum, whatever. They pay dividends, but it's like, right, you're not getting a regular check. For me, real estate was that. Now I'm to the point within this portfolio, even though I'm not spending the money, I'm still paying myself. Half of the rent on the first, half of the disbursement on the 15th. Now I'm replicating this 2-week check like my 9 to 5. Because I'm not touching it, I'm scaling faster. At whatever point in time I get out the game, like at this point, I make more money in real estate than I do at my 9 to 5.
Absolutely.
Most people will be like, all right, I'm going to live off the real estate and save the 9 to 5. I've been doing this whole time. You know, why not?
But I'll say one thing that you always said, Nate, from like years ago, since like your early 20s, was like you were like, ABG, I'm gonna buy a property every year, right? Or whatever, every 2 years. And I'm gonna keep building and building. And I feel like that's the thing that people don't see, right? In the background, people don't see the strategies that you have or the plan that you have. They just see the angle when like it's the post, like I bought a property, right? Rather than like, I have this plan that every year I'm gonna buy a property. And it's not like, next year when I buy a property, I'm gonna be a millionaire, right? It's like I'm just gonna accumulate one property and see how that goes, and the next one, and then now you down the line with 31 doors, and it's like, look at all I've accumulated. People are like, I want to get to 31 in a week or something like that, right? And it's just like people underestimate, I think, the time or like the planning that it takes to get there.
Even for yours, right? Like before Brittany closed on the deal, we already worked out like 2-3 exit strategies, right? Like we're getting this, and then what's the next play?
That's
right. So Brittany's already planning for like door 15, right? And she just the ink's still drying on these 4. You know what I mean? So it's like, always putting in a play together, and then just hanging around the people we hang around to have like the people that's trying to strategize it out with you.
So I know we were just talking about like our generation, like we don't really have anyone to kind of mimic and understand like what the process is. So like when we first got our, first property, when was that, in 2017, we had no resources. We didn't know electricians. We didn't know plumbers. Our pipes burst the first winter. We're like, oh, who do we call? And we had to pay a lot of money. So it's like now, Ghostbusters, we did. So like now, like there's so many resources with people that that like has properties. Like what tempted you to get started? So like what made you all decide like I don't just want a 9 to 5, like I want properties. I want other streams of income to kind of get me to that next level. Like what pushed you to that level?
Well, I get mine, so on you.
Yeah, I would say for me, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. So I'm like a 4th-gen entrepreneur. My great-grandmother...
Say it again, a 4th-gen entrepreneur?
4th-gen entrepreneur.
That's amazing.
My great-grandmother had basically like a basement club in Philly where like Ella Fitzgerald used to play. My grandfather used to have, he was in real estate, he owned like laundromats, and he also had like a board game in like Sears, which most people probably don't know Sears anymore. And then my mom's serial entrepreneur too. Yeah. I mean, some people don't. Some people don't.
You got like you said gold black or something.
She coming from London right now. They do not know what serious is.
But yeah, I think for my family, like growing up, I'm also a fourth generation from SIU too. So it's like, it depends on where you're picking from. But
That's
like,
amazing too.
my mom is just like, you know,
You come from good
corporate
stock.
is great.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, corporate is great, but like,
Have a
they don't
bad-
know your worth,
Yeah,
right?
they
Like,
never do.
you think you can make 200K, but you can make 20 million in entrepreneurship, right?
Yep.
So I think that was bred into me young, and so I started when I was like 11. I have a story about that. But then, besides on the other side, yeah, I'm the 14th family member to go to SIU. So literally, the day my mom
That's
dropped me
crazy.
off, she was like, "Nobody else flunked out, so you better not flunk out." And that's why I was on my like starting from like the day I got there. I was like, I'm not gonna prove my family wrong, right? I'm not
Yes.
gonna make this great house family name like bad.
Brittany
like,
has always.
That's a very
Let's talk
prestigious
on
name.
that.
Great
Brittany
house
has-
is like a.
That sounds
It
like
sounds
a,
like
It's
a.
fitting.
Yeah.
And then with the B on the front, like
be
be great.
great. That
They
makes
already
sense,
knew
right?
what time it was.
That makes sense.
They set it up.
Come on, come on.
And
Literally.
listen, Nate, what did you say about Brittany when you first met her? You said, what did you just say? You
Yeah.
said,
So when I first met Brittany, I knew her before I knew her. Like I had met her via like the talk of like who she was brand wise before like I ever physically met her. And
This is cap. It's cap.
This is not Cap, and this was middle school.
I believe him.
This is
Middle
not
school,
Cap, and this
wow.
middle
Yeah.
school, and Brittany, and it's crazy because I always feel like the stuff we do, like even right now, it's a podcast today. It's probably like a TV show at some point in time.
Yeah.
Down the
Yeah.
line, like because the things
Let's
just
go, bro.
elevate and
Yeah.
right, but like
Into
whatever,
existence,
whoever
yeah.
you are is already there.
I agree.
Brittany
100%.
sales and entrepreneur, boom, boom. When I met her, it was like off of that.
Yeah.
Brittany had exclusive things in school that you couldn't buy between school hours, and that's how I knew her before I met her.
Wait, what you had?
You selling stuff
Man,
outside?
talk to me. What's that about? What kind of social product you?
So I'm the only child. When I was 11, I used to like I was like a tomboy. So I used to like sell or like play PlayStation all the time. So I'd buy games when it was like physical at the time. And so when I turned 11, my mom was like, if you could save $1,000, she opened up a bank account for me. She's like, if you save $1,000 in 1 year, I'll match it. And for me, 1,000 felt like $1 million at that
Exactly.
time, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
$1,000, all the games I could buy, like,
Yes.
it's lit. But then I kind of worked out like, dang, the money that my family gives me for my birthday and Christmas is not going to equate to $1,000. So I got to make that money. So my friends kept asking me for gum every day, and I'm like, oh, I can sell gum. That's what I'm gonna do. So I went to Family Dollar.
A hustler.
I got some Bubblicious. I came and I was like, I think,
Not Bubblicious.
Bubblicious at the time too.
Fire,
Yes.
yo.
And then they came out with the LeBron pack.
Yeah.
LeBron pink lemonade.
yeah, that was actually a hot.
Somebody else had mentioned that before. I was sleeping on that. What year was that? Because
That
I
was
remember
middle school. That was
like
like
kiwi,
6,
strawberry,
7,
like
8th
the
grade.
watermelon,
Yeah.
the normal.
Well, for Charles, it's probably college.
Yeah, what year was this again?
Like
You know.
02, 03.
Yeah,
02, 03.
Oh yeah, I graduated high school. In 04.
I was joking,
Okay.
but it really was college students. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Let's keep it going though. It's not about.
But
it.
yeah,
Come on.
so basically I was selling gum, long story
Yeah.
short. Then it went from like that, and I was like, my margin was low, right? So then I went to like spinner change.
Margins.
Low.
My margin.
in middle school.
Right.
In middle school.
Well, that's because so I came home with like money, like I came home with like my books, and then I came home with another drawstring bag, and I would open it up every day, and it'd be like all this cash and change. And my mom was like, "Where's this coming from?" And I was like, "I'm selling gum," and she was like, "Well, this is a balance sheet. This is the income statement. So every time you come home,
Wow.
I need you to write down." She's like, "And
That's
you need
crazy.
to charge me gas." She's like, "'Cause I take you to Family Dollar." So she's like,
She put you on
"This is
game.
your expenses. This is how much you
That's
make."
amazing.
And so I started to do that and tally it and put it in. Anyways, I was like, I'm not making a lot of money because I'm spending a lot on gas. So I went to the beauty supply and got these spinner chains. And so there's these certain like white
The
kids
spinner
basically.
chains.
There's white kids that didn't want to go to that side of Bolingbrook.
Yeah.
And so it cost
They
me
still
like,
want to be cool.
yeah, it cost me $8 to get it. I sold it for $20, but then I was buying all the spinner chains. So every time I came, I'm like, the guy was like, I don't have any more. And I'm like, well, you should get more. And I'm going to buy them for $5 from you because I buy out all your inventory.
Exactly.
And then the
Quarter
guy was
brick,
like,
half brick, whole brick.
Yeah.
Hey.
We was negotiating early.
and,
No,
yeah.
seriously though.
And that was it. So it
Did
kept
you realize
really
you were
stuck.
negotiating though?
I didn't know that.
No.
It was like, you know, when
No.
you're young, you're just like, I just want more money.
Yeah.
And it's gonna make me more. And it's just like, what am I gonna lose? And so that was it. And so I made the 1,000. Long story short, I always tell my mom she never matched it, but she's like, I taught you a good lesson. I made it in like 4 months.
Hey.
It was great. I was
Wow.
happy. I was like, look, and my mom was like, great. The story is you can make your own money.
That's amazing though.
That's-
And since
hard.
then, I've never made $1 that felt like those dollars before. Like when I came home, it felt amazing to like just pour those, even like the coins on the bed. Now, even making a lot more than that, it doesn't feel like that.
So do you feel like that was like your foundation for like your drive and like zeal to?
Yeah, and my hunger. Like it was just that it was just like I just did it off the pure strength of like, okay, I can, right? And I can do this and I can do it my own way. Like I think when you make your own money, it's like a drug. And like once you get it, you're going to keep doing more and more and more.
I truly believe in the power and the importance of negotiation. I just really do. And I think I truly feel like everything is negotiable. Because to your point, you talk about margins and like you get a big quantity, you get it for cheaper. That's what everything, right? If you see a product in the store for $10, that store never purchased that for $10. They probably got it for like $1, $1.50, right? And
they make
so whatever they make, so whatever you even negotiate to 7, 8, it's still a big profit for them, no matter what, right? And it's the same. So you never get what you're worth. You get what you can negotiate.
I think they were talking. DC Young Fly was on Earn Your Leisure the other day.
Yeah.
And he was talking about the cost of things, and one thing that it made me think about was that like literally when you put pricing strategy on things, if you're in corporate, they do like a whole analysis. Yeah. But any small business can be like, you know what, this shirt's worth $250. Yeah. Right. You gonna buy it.
You gonna buy it.
And then whatever that brand is, people buy it for that.
The quality is the same as a $10
But if you think it's $5, people gonna buy it.
Because it says be kind on there.
Yeah.
So you're gonna pay triple the amount because it says be kind, it's a brand or whatever. And they know that.
Yeah. But money wasn't like right before money, we had to like trade commodities and goods. So it's like now really people put the value on what they want it to be. That's and true. Based on competition.
It's true.
Especially a lot of our people.
So Brittany, talk to us. How did you get to London?
How did I get to London? Through the job. So I got to give it up to SIU, Michael Haywood. Like he came to
College of Business.
Yeah, College of Business. Yeah. Me, Nate, and my brother Mike, we all went to Bolingbrook High School and graduated the same year. He came to our graduation. He like recruited us like we were athletes.
I never knew that.
Shout out to Mr. Haywood.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So we did
I never knew that.
We did a business program. Was our junior going into senior year, and so amazing. I was in between a few universities, and I was like, since all my family was SIU, I was like, I don't want to go there. But then I went there and like the community was strong and I was like, wow, I gotta go. So Mr. Haywood was so invested in us. So I went there. Anyways, long story short, did a lot of internship programs, diversity programs, got into a corporate company in consulting and been with them. It'll be 9 years in August. And they asked me, once the pandemic hit, I was traveling Monday through Thursday for consulting out the state. And it was beautiful. But then once I stopped traveling, I was like, damn, I'm putting in 14-hour days consistently. And I told my my senior leader at the time, I was like, hey, I'm stressed, my mental health is taking a toll, I need you to help me. He's like, that's why we get paid the big bucks.
Right.
And to me, I felt like that was the worst advice that he could give me, because I'm like, when I get to this level, I'm like, if you divide what you make by the time, it's not big bucks. Yeah. And so I was like, there needs to be a pivot. So I pivoted internally into the organization, which everyone said it was hard. So I took a pay cut to go there. But then I was like, and this is by one of my bosses, she's also a black lady. She helped me pivot. And then anyways, long story short, after I was like, hey, I need some more challenging work. And she's like, have you ever thought about moving abroad? And I was she's like, Europe is a very challenging market. And I was like, I would love to take on that piece of work. And I was like, how soon can I do it? She's like, how soon do you want to move? And I was like, as soon as possible.
But most people don't want to move and can't.
No.
So
so that's really what spurred the move. And then she gave me a list of cities in Europe. And then London was obviously, I was like, well, they speak English, they're diverse. Yeah. I'm like, it's big, let's go. And then January 2022, I moved to London. It was my first time literally being in London, the first time I got there on that flight. But once I got there, I mean, it felt like home too, you know?
Oh, really?
Home is, what is it? Home is a feeling, it's not a place. So
You live there too, Nate, right?
He does. He lives there.
I'm working on my visa right now.
Listen.
He does.
I feel like Nate's been there every weekend.
Yeah.
I'm like,
wait, 100 days, 300
according
days.
to immigration, you can
days?
do it over 180.
Because last year I pulled up on Brittany for about 100 days total throughout the year, and this year I think we about 30 in.
Yeah, we're 30 in.
30 in.
Yeah, but that's the power of network, right? Like I get the flight, and then you got.
You got somewhere to stay.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're an entrepreneur.
Yep.
You work remote, right?
Yep.
So it's like, I feel like that's the privilege of all of that.
For sure.
And you can still live your best
For sure.
life.
Yeah.
What Brittany didn't tell y'all in that story about when she was a kid is like, I met her before I met her. So it's like, cool, she's got the goods. I bought the goods maybe a couple times, but I'm seeing like where it's going. The next time I seen her, I brought all the money I had in my piggy bank, and I was like, hey.
Like a real piggy bank? You really took it out?
Like, hey,
wow.
invest this, right? I'm betting on you. This is not the story that happens, but this is what I told everybody as to, you know what I'm saying? I bet on Brittany at a young age.
Oh my God.
You know how people will show you like the Amazon stock from like 15, 20 years
Yeah. So you already knew.
I knew.
I mean, I agree.
Brittany
has always been this person since the first day I met her.
Knew.
She was trying to be a K, all that, Bowling Brook.
What is a K?
AKA,
For the people that don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Brittany is a legacy. Her mom is an AKA, like a very known, involved member of Delta Beta. And I feel like Brittany was still like, I'm going to do the work. What you need me to do. Like, and it's a lot of people are not like that. They legacy and they're like,
the easy road.
They take the easy road. They're like, I really don't have to do much or won't do much.
Well, they're underplaying that. When I went to, we have a thing called RSO, Registered Student Organizations.
Yeah.
I came to the table and Dawn was there, right? And she was looking like, hello. And I went and like wrote my name and I was like, hi, my name is Brittany Greathouse, blah, blah, blah. She's like, I know who you are.
We already know.
I was like,
your mom is a legacy. Your mom is Delta.
If I could sweat, I felt like my back was sweating. And I was like, okay. I mean, I'm like,
I literally remember that though. That's so funny.
Yeah, and I was like, okay.
Brittany always been willing to put in the work. She's always been be great. Before you won, remember Homecoming Queen?
Oh, yes.
Your slogan was like, be great. You've always
Why
been
be good when you can be great?
Why be good when you can be great?
Jasmine Collins came up with that. Literally. I never had
That's
be
a
great
hard
before
slogan.
that. Because
That's
for
hard.
student government, I think I said it takes a great team or a good team to build a great house or something like that. I never knew about be great. And then,
Your last name just set you up for everything.
It works out.
Now she in real estate?
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Great
great
house.
house.
It works out. So like you two are like really good friends, right?
Yep.
So I think it's super dope to see like a male and female version of like really good friends, best friends, all that, and not even just like we friends and we talk, but like travel together, root for each other, like build together. And I feel like even like doing this whole thing, everything is like, well, Nate didn't say this, but Nate does this, or Brittany didn't say this, but Brittany does this. Like that's amazing to see. So like, are you all like in relationships? And if you are in relationships, like how does that go? Like I would love to hear the perspective of your spouses and all that in dating, and how does that play out? How do you introduce your friend that's of the opposite sex? Do you have issues with that?
you want to start?
I'll start. I am dating. I am in a relationship. I would say that because Brittany's around so much, like people maybe on the front end might be like, who is she? And that's like women friends in general. But the thing that I can like purely stand on is like, if I call a woman my friend, like she's truly my friend, I'd have zero friends that I've ever done anything with. Zero friends. So it's like when I'm in a relationship, people know it's not one of those like, oh, this sus, but because you know how people.
Because I think a lot of people think that
for sure. Even when we travel,
bad
right?
boundaries.
Even when we travel, we go and get these spots, and we'll get like places that's got like 2 rooms or 2 beds or whatever. And then the people who like show us the room, they'll be like, right? They're like, so it's 2 beds here. So I mean, you know, you can have one for, and then you can sleep in the other one, right? But we're sleeping in a separate joint. So it's like I say on my side, like everybody loves Brittany. Right, it's really across the board, friends, relationships, all those type of things, and people just understand. It might be hesitancy up front, but I don't like, because that's the thing too. I'll bring Brittany around. Like people will see how we interact and see like it's true friendship. It ain't no whatever. So on my side, it's pretty good. Brittany really got the world on lock in the dating scene, so it's like I really be
It's gonna be great.
I don't know what type of smoke she get. I don't know what type of smoke she get.
She always been there.
Yeah, I just go back to like boundaries. I would say like I think what I've learned even over the relationships, because I've had really terrible relationships in my 20s, and what I've learned is like having good boundaries, like you saying, like delineation of like what's a friend versus not a friend. I think I've always had that delineation, but I didn't understand that. So I'm bisexual, but I feel like in the woman world, it's hard because when you date other women, sometimes people start off as friends, but then experiment, but then find out we're just friends. And I didn't know that a lot. So it's like figuring out those boundaries is something different. But now I'm exploring polyamory. I would say like I'm not monogamous, but I'm not poly, right?
Can you tell us what poly is?
Yeah, sure. Because also people mix up polyamory and polygamy too.
Because I hear a lot of terms and I really don't know all the terms.
Yeah. So I'll say I'm not Wikipedia. I'll give the disclaimer. I'm giving my own version of this, right? So from what I know is like when I think of polygamy, I think of like from the Middle East or from like African like families of men having multiple wives, and the purpose is to like bear children or provide a duty, right? Not to have multiple girlfriends. But in that sense, the women can't have any other partners, right? It's just that one male. And so in polyamory, you can have multiple partners, married, unmarried. Obviously, you can't get married to more than one person legally. But it's just like dating more than one person intimately. So that can look like a throuple, so like a closed three-way relationship. It can be like, if let's say we were dating, but I'm dating him and you're dating her, right? It can look however you want it.
That reminds me of
What?
Oh. Remind you of what?
No,
Maybe we should digress.
No.
I'm not sure you're going here.
No, Jada Pinkett and what's the name was in like
the entanglement.
It was like
Oh,
the entanglement.
yeah.
It was in
August
yeah.
Alsina.
Yes.
But I'm just trying to add a little spice.
I know. That's where she's going to. Come on.
But it can look in multiple ways. But when I say I'm doing or like trying to figure out in the middle, because there's some parts of monogamy that I really love, right? I love the companionship. I love building with one partner and figuring life out. But I'm very non-traditional in terms of if my partner wanted to explore different things, whether it is physically with someone else or just let's say even not living in the same household, right? Or I don't know, they want to do anything that's just a little bit different than social norms. I'm very open to that. One thing that I'm just very like weary or just aware of is that people don't do a lot of the self-work to figure out like what they want, and people are very either passive or they're not honest with their partners because for the fear of abandonment or something else. And so I'm trying to facilitate a partner or like some type of companionship where we're literally best friends, right? You can tell me everything you want, even if you think it's gonna hurt me, right? Because if we're truly partners and best friends, I have your best interest and we'll figure out how we can work this out together.
I got a question. First of all, this is extremely interesting, but also, you seem very knowledgeable on this topic.
I've been in therapy for 5 years.
Okay, all right. So we appreciate the wisdom and the knowledge, but think about any past relationship you've been in. Like you seem very clear on what you want,
very
expectations, straightforward. It's very black and white. Maybe a little gray, but like you know what you want, right, and what to expect. What if the opposing or your partner? What if they want to be monogamous? Like your thoughts on poly? What are they like? Okay, that's cool and all, but I want you just for myself. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I think
how does that work?
When my poly journey first started, I was dating a partner where I was actually monogamous and she was poly. So that was different. So I talked to my therapist about that, of like what that would look like, right? Because I was living a life that could be poly or had lived a life that was like that. So I think poly-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, right. I would say unethical. It was unethical polyamory, right?
Okay.
And so I think that was the reason why I wanted to explore and open it. And even now, I find a lot of partners who are monogamous, but then on that first day or even before we meet, I let them know that, right? I think honesty is best, right? Telling them, what are you doing, what's your dating type, how this works, and then you give them the option to figure things out. Unless, for me, sometimes if I feel like somebody's betraying their own needs, then I still back away, right? But just figuring that out. Because also, people who are strictly poly can also be fearful of me because they're like, you want monogamy at some point, that means that you might break up with me, right? So I think it's just trying to find that common denominator. And I feel like I still am figuring out what I want and what I need. And so sometimes I'm learning too that it's okay to say, I don't know, or I'm still figuring this out and I'm still working this out. And I think in my relationship types, I've had a lot of terrible experiences. So I know some things that I don't want or things that I allowed and things, that I need to change. And now I'm working on, okay, maybe I was passive before, but now what do I need and how do I be more active in that and figuring that out.
Interesting. So I feel like that's news because I really don't know like poly and all that, like what those terms really mean. So it's very interesting to hear that. So
what's
like,
your thoughts on that?
As far as what?
On poly life.
Yeah, I was about to say, coming from like traditional marriage.
I just want to know, like you personally, wife, what did you?
I think it's a lot. Like even when you were explaining, I'm like, oh.
You mean dealing with multiple people?
I was overwhelmed.
You said something like guidelines, like it's like a
it's boundaries.
I mean, it's funny, so it's coming with the NDA.
And look, you know, Brittany gonna be very like.
You won't find nobody who can speak on Brittany's relationship.
Zion Wilson should got a girl sign up. He tweets.
I would say like what I like about it is like it's boundaries versus rules.
Yeah.
I think it's what people are comfortable with because what I don't like I'm very logical. sometimes I can be detached from situations. So I'm like, hey, what is cheating versus not cheating? And then poly, it's hard to be like, oh, you can't never cheat in poly. Like, you open to everybody. It's cool, but like, they're still cheating, right? If you lie to somebody, that's cheating. If you're not open to somebody based on somebody's standards. So like with...
That's very subjective.
I will say with my, let's say, main partner I have now, we tell each other everything. If I'm going out on a date, if I'm doing something with someone else, we communicate about that. So if I I don't know, let's say I pop up somewhere and I don't tell her, I'm like, hey, I'm just out, I'll see you later. But it's like, oh, I was in, I don't know, Jamaica with somebody for a week. And it's like, you didn't tell me. That was
So as long as you communicate it, like, that's the understanding.
Unless you have the boundary that you don't
want
have to communicate.
So back to you feel like it's a lot.
Yeah, I think it's just, for me personally, it's hard for me to keep up with you. Like, so it's like, to communicate so many things.
Wait, hold on.
Just
I'm not hard. You see me every day. I'm not
I
hard
know,
to
but
keep
still,
up
it's
with.
just it just seems like a lot. Like,
It is.
I'm gonna go hang with the girls,
I know.
but then I'm gonna do this.
And
then
people
I'm-
think
but
it's easy, right? Because
It
people
is.
are
That's a lot,
like,
though.
people, I
It
think,
seems like effort, like a lot of effort to go into it.
yeah, but people glamorize poly sometimes when I feel like they're not in it, right? So when you think of traditional, they're like, oh, this is boring. I have sex with my same partner every day, right? Oh, this gets old. Oh, wow, bro, you live in the life. You get to do whatever you want, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, at the end of the day, I think every relationship needs work. You know what I'm saying? And like, when every relationship needs communication too. No matter if you're poly or monogamous, everything will break down either way. And it's like, everyone needs to sometimes take their pride and ego out of it and have a conversation. And that happens in anyone you're in.
I agree. I think people glamorize everything. So it's like people that are not married are like, well, you don't have to worry about it because you have a husband to go home to. And people that are married are like, well, you don't know, you just go out every night, you don't have kids.
You
don't have
always want to
anything
be
work.
where you're not.
Exactly.
That's
so
true.
I feel like, I never glamorize the opposite because the grass is not always greener. Like, I feel like I'm content with life the way that it is. So I never think about it that way, but I know a lot of people do. But like, I know you always speaking about like relationships and everything. And I know you've been on a tour for like 100 days. You live in London. So it's like, how does that work with like the dating scene? Because we've heard so many different perspectives of like dating, especially like mainly in Chicago, because most people we talk to is in Chicago. So it's like, what does that
And I
look
think
like?
especially for Nate, because he says he's in a relationship.
That's what I was about to say.
How does that work?
I say a lot of communication, but then too, I feel like I probably keep my expectations lower than most people do, and I feel like unorthodox. I'm not gonna say I'm low maintenance. I don't want to cap, but I'm gonna say like.
Is you high maintenance, bro?
I'm not saying because I feel like low maintenance is just like you can do you.
Well, maybe
I'm
a different term from low maintenance, but maybe low, not expectations.
I'm in a standpoint where it's just like I feel like in any relationship, whether it's like somebody I'm dating or even just like friendships, the two roles that I bring is like chief reality officer, chief positivity officer, right? I'm never gonna hit you.
Hold on. Wait. What's this?
Throwing terms.
Wait. What are these terms, bro?
So this is
we gonna need what's the name for this episode? Like at the end of the episode, like
What's the word, the definition?
Yes.
This is what I feel like is just like associated with my brand, or this is like what I'm consciously always trying to give off about myself in whatever business, relationship, family. Chief reality officer, so I don't want to cap to you, right? And chief positivity officer. If I call your phone, it's not gonna be a Debbie Downer conversation. If you see me, it's not gonna be Debbie Downer.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, right? So the chief reality officer in me understands like what the dating scene looks like. So it's like it's treacherous out here. My expectations.
That's what we've been hearing.
So my expectations are a little low, right? We started off talking about the real estate and stuff like that. Obviously, right? People probably can tell I'm about the long game. Yeah. So I'm not gonna sweat day by day over somebody who might jeopardize what we can have forever, right? I'm not trying to like force your hand or make you be somebody you don't want to be. I want you to be exactly who you want to be, and I just hope that I want to spend the rest of my life with that person.
Okay, let's stay there. So you said forever. What's your thoughts on long-term relationships, family, and like home, like building a family within a home and a house? Like what's
So I'm super unorthodox.
Okay.
And I really, it's so hard. Like, I feel like I was like true romanticism, true romantic, all this type of stuff.
There might be a little percentage where you still are.
I want to be that person so bad, but I just really feel like, for the most part, relationships don't really work. Shout out to y'all when I see y'all. No, seriously. Because the thing is like this. Yeah. What I will tell is this is the first time that I've been around both of y'all at the same time. Yeah. And quite frankly, prior to this, I've probably been around either one of y'all maybe 10 minutes or less.
Right.
Right? Like, individually, group setting, whatever.
Yeah.
What I'll say is the perception I get of y'all on social media is what I felt when I came here, right?
Oh,
so
cool,
if it feel like y'all walking and talking, what I see.
Yeah.
Social media will give personas that's like, I get in here,
Absolutely.
y'all in here yelling at each other, and you set it up, and that wasn't the case. Like,
Right,
I see
right.
the same partnership I see on TV or on social media. And
No, you said TV.
hey, listen, I'm just
Speak it. You put it out there. Put it out there.
y'all, man.
Let's do it.
So when it comes to those type of things, it's like, again, I don't want to like waste my time on a day-to-day. The thing be like this, and it's different from y'all because y'all married. I ask people all the time, how many people have you dated that you thought this is the one? How many people have you dated where you even considered spending the rest of your life with? Where are they today? So, chief reality officer, the chances of me spending the rest of my life with you, whoever I'm dating, is probably lower, right, than us having a chapter and it being what it is.
Yeah.
So then I just try to like make the most of what that is right there. And then, like I say, people are living their life and doing whatever they're doing, especially because I'm like traveling and doing all these type of things, and I'm doing stuff that people not necessarily trying to subscribe to today. It's like, hey, somebody's gonna put in that time, somebody's gonna put in that sacrifice, and put in that grind to be able to reap the benefits of what comes with every single one of these chapters. People see it on social media and they just want to come direct flight to where I'm at. It's
Right.
like,
But with that said, do you long term want to have kids?
yep. Okay. Here we go. So I do want to long term have
Here we
kids.
go.
Here we go. Here we go.
Here's the
Unpopular opinion number one.
Okay.
And when did you bring this to me?
Probably like a year or two ago. Probably like
Okay.
2 years ago. Probably like 2 years ago. Long drawn, romantic, whatever, loving basketball. I want to do all that. I am now kind of really trying to subscribe to, and I everybody watching this is let's see how well this ages.
Looking straight to the
Hold
camera.
him to
Let's
it.
see how
He
well
mean this. He
this
must mean
ages.
this. He mean
Listen,
this.
I really feel like whoever you're dating, whoever's in your DMs, whatever all that looks like, scrap it, right? Forget about them, okay? I really think you should go and have a kid with your best friend. I think the equation, formula, and life that will be lived by co-parenting with a best friend gives you greater odds than what I'm seeing of people.
Wow, yeah.
Because and here's the thing too, right? People will tell you like, "Oh, you're supposed to marry your best friend." Like people say it all the time, right? But they don't really marry their best friend. They marry somebody, and then they try to make them their best friend.
And they don't.
You know
they
what
don't
I'm
like
saying?
them.
Yeah.
We talk about that. They don't like them.
1,000%. So
Wait.
me and Brittany,
Hold on. I want you to continue, but I gotta say this because we saw this earlier.
Hit on it.
What Michelle Obama said about she did not like Barack Obama for 10 years. I really not like that statement. We're gonna come back to that, but continue because
So that's just my wave, right? I think, and so me and Brittany kind of got like this running thing. We're both 31, and we're like, hey, by 35, if we're not married, then we'll consider having a kid together, IVF, right? And I think it makes.
I think it's a great idea.
I think it makes the whole ecosystem better. What I see right now is kids suffering from parental beef, right? I see people in relationships and it's like jealousy, envy, greed, whatever the case may be, and all these things that deteriorate relationships versus if me and Brittany did something, right? Brittany's already having. So I don't have to, all the things that come in like regular ways, like she's got her bag. I know she's not really trying to dip into mine, right? I'm not having no relations with Brittany. We're literally coming together almost in business form, right? To create a legacy and be able to pour and invest in somebody, which I feel like is what you're supposed to do. I don't have kids, so I don't know. These are my thoughts, right? But I think it gives me better odds than temporary being locked in with somebody. Have this kid, we're no longer locked in, and now, all these different things. If Brittany comes to me as a co-parent, it's like, hey, I got a date Thursday. You think you can watch the kid? I'm going to watch the kid. If I had like a baby mom's, and she was out dating, and she wanted me to watch it, like, no, I might get killed. I'm not watching the kids, so you can go out for a day. It's not happening. Something just came up.
But
for Brittany, I'll watch the kid. I got a date Tuesday. I need you to swap this back. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're good, and so that's
I think that's a great idea.
That's my unpopular opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. A little bit.
Okay.
Right. There's a part that's missing. Like the business side of it is real.
Okay.
Like the co-parenting, like you having a baby with your best friend, all that's dope. But there's a part that's missing, like that the psychological part from the kid watching their parents like together.
Oh yeah, I love this.
Like
come on.
like that.
Come on.
I got something for it too.
Come on.
Don't you worry.
Yeah, so-
I'm just waiting for the finish.
Because give me the opposite. I know you're
I got something for it too.
So the romantic side of them singing together and being together and loving each other, and y'all cool, so they might see that a little bit. But I just think it's a different lens like when they hear, like for example, our oldest daughter Bella, like she says I love you a lot because she hear us say it to her, or she hear us say that to each other, right? So I think it's certain things that I feel like kids should see that parents do.
For sure.
Not all they romantically,
but just overall, not even romantic, just like the whole
for the mental.
But let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Bella is in a very unique situation. What do you think the percentile of
That's
kids Bella's age seeing that as opposed to
because
seeing,
a lot of us didn't grow up seeing that,
right? As opposed to like the people Bella going to school with, who when the dad's not around, the mom's on the phone with her girlfriends talking down on the dad. So now this is the internal thought that this kid is thinking about the dad. The dad's, all these type of things. It's like, yeah, and this is where like my chief reality officer piece comes in. It's like, if I could guarantee that formula, yeah, I'd go with it.
Right.
But I feel like the majority of what I'm seeing is not that. They go their separate ways, and then now you got an even worse situation. Then at least I got two people.
Some people fake the funk. You're right. Some people fake the funk for the kid.
I really love when they first said this earlier today. Like, I think that is a great idea. And we're in a very traditional relationship, right? So I agree with the traditional aspect of those relationships and having kids. But I also look through the perspective of like friends and family and just people that I know of and heard of who are 35 plus, ready to have kids. They don't have a significant other. Especially women. They know their biological clocks are ticking. They're freezing their eggs and all these different things because they really want a baby. And they're 35 plus. So it's like a situation like this. I've heard people that said, I wish I just had a male friend just to have a baby. Because right now, you just want to have a baby. And I really don't think, I know we're traditional. I don't think there'll be anything less than what the kid's going to get. Because think of how many kids grow up with parents fighting every day. Toxic, they hate each other. They're talking about each other. Just a negative
and my view is skewed.
Aura. It's very skewed because we're biased.
For sure.
But I really see that perspective. And I don't see anything wrong with it.
And I would say, like, for your perspective, like, let's say that we do have a child together, but then let's say I end up in a relationship with somebody, or he does, right? And then they come over to mommy's house or to dad's house, and they see that loving relationship, and they know that we are best friends.
Because that could come later.
That happened, right? I'm sure at some point you have to explain that dynamic to them.
Sure.
But then you're like, well, mommy still loves somebody else, right? And so they do see a loving household. I think I always think about, because I'm like, I feel like my future person is going to be a woman, so I feel like I'm going to have a wife. So for me, I'm like, if you raise your child in a loving household where your child is loved, no matter if it's one parent, two parents, grandma, auntie, foster, whoever, as long as they are loved and respected,
it's really important.
I think that's the key to really raising a child and letting them be who they are, right? Because I think what I've seen is like the hard part is like parents try to mold their child into what they want them to be. Or what they didn't have at the time.
Or they think they should be.
Yeah. Or it's like you just have to like provide a child with love and not provide your traumas on them.
Which is difficult, I think.
For sure.
It is. And I think no matter what happens, I was talking to my mom about this the other day, like every parent is going to put trauma on their child in some way.
And they don't, a lot of times they don't unknowingly.
You don't know.
Because they haven't dealt with their own individual trauma. So it's like your point, it's happening like, subconsciously.
And we're not perfect. We're never going to be perfect. So there's always going to be something. But obviously, I always say, as long as it's not abuse, violence, something that's like very, very hard to come back from, even though people do. But as long as it's something, not as difficult, I feel like people are able to overcome that. You provide the opportunity. But I think, long story short, if you have love in the household, I think that's the main thing.
And I think to Brittany's point too, when she talks about like, okay, she's gonna go off and marry a woman, like let's say we do the co-parent thing or whatever like that. Still taking it back to like what happens in normal situations. People have a kid, they split up. Somebody goes and gets a new partner. Usually the other parent is not in support of that new relationship.
Like the whole time you're pushing it, like
I'm gonna be in full support. And then
you're probably getting her wedding.
Listen, and then here's the other kicker too. Let's say that relationship doesn't work out for that kid. That kid's core is not shaking. Right? They still got mom and dad. That's right here. So we can explain like, okay, this relationship worked this way or didn't work this way, boom, boom. That's true. But it's like I'm building this.
That's a great perspective, though.
It really is.
And financially,
the more I talk about it, I'm starting to see more and more good points.
So look, these are all. Listen, y'all really like talking. This was
some good
stuff.
stuff.
I mean, even when we went to Greece recently, like we talked to this family from South Africa about it, and Nate was like, I feel like I'm on my own. Like you're not really supporting me in this endeavor. like it's just my thing, and you're not supporting. I was like, actually. I was like, no, I get it. I think I still have my like little view of like, oh, I'm gonna fall in love and do it right. But I do understand how it can work, right? I just froze my eggs recently. So for me, like I completely understand it. So
Really?
so I have started to think about it
Yeah.
I mean, a lot deeper recently, and like there are so many benefits that are to that, right? So
Did you learn in Greek? You in Greece?
we did.
remember-
You
You gonna remember because if I
Takani's.
don't, then I don't.
Yeah, no.
Kalimata.
Yeah.
okay.
Calimera.
She
It's
tried
like,
to steal my
yeah.
words.
I only know that because of Charles.
Sure. Well, when we rented a car from Hertz, they gave us like a little pamphlet
Yeah.
of like sayings, and I was like,
Good.
oh, cool. I don't even remember
I
any
took
of
Greek in
that.
high school, and I still remember a lot of words.
Oh,
a lot of
wow.
stuff. Yeah, like
Yeah.
Chinese, how are you? Kala good.
That's the only reason I know.
Little humble flex.
Kali Spada, good evening, good afternoon. Kali
He got the like
listen.
drooling.
Yeah.
Like, okay, all right. You did a
Wait.
couple
We
years.
should have
I'm
taken a degree.
You
Ines,
don't eat no meat.
Ines stole Chicago. I'm from Chicago.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
we need to go to Greece.
Thanks for
Yeah.
the lesson. We appreciate that. So we're gonna get into some talk your ish, okay?
Okay.
Ooh.
So we kind of touched on it earlier. Charles got real like, yeah, but
I
we gonna
did.
come back to
I
it.
did. It just
That was
hit
really
me.
like
it hit
into
me,
his-
man. Like it's been on my mind.
So like a while back, Michelle Obama did an interview and she talked about her not liking the Barack Obama for how many years? 10 years?
10 decade.
Brick.
A decade. A brick. At least for a decade, she said she did not like Barack Obama, which we talked about like how she said the statement and it just came and went.
Yeah.
And I know there were a lot of opinions around like that statement and if it was someone else that said it, and she's talking about Barack. But me personally, I feel like I couldn't be with someone that I don't like, especially for 10 years. But I also feel like from her perspective, she was probably saying just for his term, I didn't like him. I knew it was going to end. And after that, I'm assuming she likes him still or again. So I get where she's coming from if that's the context that she meant, but I really don't know. But I feel like that was a bold statement to make.
So now I have a question then.
Sure.
So there's no time in your relationship. How long have y'all been married for?
7 years. In
7 years.
August.
Okay.
August
7
was
years.
How long have
7.
you guys been like together? Well, in like
Since
a
like
Ooh,
a-
child.
Since
Since 2000 and
Oh, wait, 09? Around that time?
2008.
Okay.
2008.
What's that?
a while.
That's a long time.
15 years.
No, for real.
Oh,
Look,
wow.
y'all didn't already.
We actually don't even
Yeah.
talk about the year. We never talk about the years. We
15
always say,
years.
when did we like start
Dating.
talking?
Y'all already in like the top percentile.
No, that's wild. That's
So
wild.
there's
Crazy.
no time since that time where you guys didn't, well, since marriage, let's say, that you didn't like each other?
Why don't you go first?
Well, I feel like, there's actually moments of the day that I don't like Charles. Like,
Okay.
and very basic-ish. So it's like the most basic-ish really gets on my nerves. Like when the garbage can is full and you see it's full and I'm like putting stuff in there. And I'm not even joking. It's just be like, bro, just take out the garbage. Like when I'm cooking like several days throughout the week and I'm like, so you're not gonna cook? He's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna cook on Friday, and Friday comes, he's like,
tonight,
I'm
then.
just gonna order Giordano's. It's like, but you said you were gonna cook. So it's like, it's more so like, in those moments, I'd be like, bro, what the?
Yeah.
Like, do what you're supposed to do. Like,
Yeah.
but it's never a time where it's like, it's been like, like I hate you. Like, I don't want to be with you. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like after 10 years, like what Michelle Obama said, like, there would have been a divorce. Like, I can't imagine, like, what she was going through and not
5
liking.
years.
Huh?
I said 5 years.
No, I know,
Okay.
but that's what I'm saying. To be 10 years
Yeah.
and not like somebody, I can't imagine, like, coming home every day and not liking the person. And I know and we know of people and we've talked to
Yeah,
people that's
yeah.
been like,
They can
everybody
relate.
have rough patches,
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
But it's like, I feel like your rough patch should never last more than a week. Like, you shouldn't be in a relationship where you're not talking for a week and in the same house. Like, to me,
Because I feel like when you say your vows, right, that's like for better or worse, for richer or poorer. So
Yeah,
it's just
but-
like,
That's true.
I feel like it's a very
Yeah.
unique use case though, right? Because it's like
Yeah.
them being the president first lady. The way I take it is that she didn't have Barack for those 10 years. Right? She wasn't married at that moment
It was
to
the guy
the
before he's
person she
president.
married.
Yeah.
She's now married to the president. So it's like, we can't go do the things that I want to do. Like, the sacrifice you're making, I now have to make.
Yeah.
No
and
matter what.
the things that she went through as his wife, just her
That's
just
true.
being his wife, like, think of all of the backlash she got.
But it's interesting because she knew his path, right? She knew what he was aiming towards, right? So it's not
Did she
like
really though? When they got married, like, she knew he was. I mean, he
No,
started
yeah,
a
she
senator and
knew.
all that.
He was-
But did you really
she
think
knew
he
she
was
knows
gonna be
the
the
goal.
president? No.
maybe not. right away. But eventually
black
she
too?
found
Come
out.
on, that's just a pipe dream in the
Originally,
basement.
I mean not originally, but eventually she knew that
But, I
was
mean,
the point.
but it sounds good.
Well,
like, he hit a
I'm not
center,
even-
he's gonna be
so
a
this-
president. That's great. But
This is what I want to say. I always like to differentiate between love and like. And we talked about this on the prior episode. Like love, that sustains a relationship. They keep you there, present, right, for years and years. The like, when issues come up and you don't like fool with each other to that point or whatever, like you like that person, so it's like we're gonna work this out because I like you as a person, right? I rock with you as like your character, like what you represent. Like you're a friend. You could be a friend, but I like you to that level. So for Michelle Obama to say she didn't like Barack Obama for 10 years, to me that's putting out like it's
I'm
kind of
actually surprised
toxic.
she said that.
It's kind of toxic.
Surprised.
And this is why, because people look up to Michelle Obama. They look up to Barack Obama. And
In their relationship.
In their relationship, what they stand for. I'm not saying they should divorce. I don't know. You do what you're gonna do in your relationship. But for someone to stay in something, a situation, relationship for 10 years, a decade, and you don't like this person daily, to me that's a big problem because now you wasted 10 years of happiness that could have been happening.
You can't get that time back.
You can never get time back, right? That's a commodity we can never get back.
But
So
also-
it's time.
Go ahead, Nick.
Let me ask you.
Yeah.
So she was unhappy 10 years. I say those first 2 years was the last joint as senator, and then
Yep,
4 and
yep.
4.
Yep.
So my question for you then is, they did the 2 as senator, 4 as
Yeah.
president. At that point, she's unhappy. Are you telling me that
She should've
Barack
been
Obama should have not re-ran off the sake of her happiness, as opposed to what he means to the country and legacy and generation? And
That's a difficult question.
you know what I'm saying? Because if she
I-
divorces him, then it's
I
like,
don't know, and also we don't know if they was to the point of divorce. Like just because she don't like him, I don't mean she don't want to
Yeah.
be with them.
She
Like,
would
I
never
don't.
get divorced.
Yeah, she
Think
never.
about the
Yeah,
situation.
I doubt that. I guess what I'm saying in all is like that's heavy. I've talked to homies, I've talked to friends. It's like, yeah, we ain't like each other for 2 years, we like for 3 years, and to me that's crazy because I do recognize. I think our situation is unique because we like hanging out with each other. Like we want to just kick it and have a good time. That's just natural for us. I know everybody relationship isn't like that, so it's a blessing. I'm grateful that we have that, but I personally can't see myself with somebody for that long, and I don't like that person. I'm just gonna be like, I gotta, you know what I'm saying?
this is my last point on it. So
Yeah.
I'll say I feel like they are in the middle of kind of like 2 different places, right? I feel like she made that statement, and older black women was like, well, shoot, I ain't like my husband for
Yeah.
even longer.
Yeah, they
Right.
can relate.
I feel like
Yep.
younger black women
You're right.
is like, why did you stay?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we coming from
That's a
2
great
different
point.
joints.
That's a great
Yeah.
From a
point.
younger
That's a
perspective,
great
it's like, oh, this is not working in 10 seconds. It's a swipe.
And we think differently about marriage relationships too compared
Right.
to older generations.
So I think
Yeah.
from that,
But I
from
think
that
we know
perspective-
both perspectives. Like our generation knows like our grandmothers who stayed and
While
like
getting
young-
cheated on,
Yep.
while
Who were
the
cheating on
grandfather
other
got other
kids.
kids you didn't hear about till you got
Husbands got
older.
other
Like,
kids, yeah.
let's talk about it.
So they like, oh, you only did 10?
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
a 20-year deal. Like,
a
I'm-
20 piece.
You know what I'm saying?
Currently,
I'll wait till
still.
we count. Wait,
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
I don't like the statement though. I will say that. I
Yeah.
don't like the statement just from a culture
Yeah.
perspective, but I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
I kind of understand.
What you think, Brittany?
I just think like when it comes to like the millennial generation, we always feel like it's just like a black and white, like back to like, you know, doing poly or something that's non-traditional or unconventional.
Yeah.
It's just like everybody thinks they glamorize anything that's not monogamy, right? Or they're like, oh, it's monogamy, it's just me and you forever. Because I think it's fear. People are afraid of making a commitment, but I think even deeper, people aren't afraid of the fear of commitment. They're afraid because they don't know what they want. Or they made that commitment when they know, like internally, right, at the altar or whenever they made that vow, they're like, I don't know if I really want this, right? And it's like you betrayed yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's really it. And then people are afraid to be like, to say their piece, because sometimes it's okay. Like it's okay if you don't want one person at, you know, that one time. It's okay
Yeah.
however you want to live, because I feel like everyone goes through different phases and spaces. Just like we
Yeah.
said, there's always something that you want to do. So like even in living an unconventional life, there's not like I'm going to do all these experiences. At some point, I'll be like, all right, I did everything I wanted to do.
Yeah.
There's always going to be something else.
Something more. You're gonna always want to do something else, something
yeah.
different.
And I don't think I'm not sure it's always about like you don't know what you want. I think it's you don't always know what to expect. Right?
sure.
Like when you get married, like it is right for better, for worse, for richer, for poor, right? That's all true. But those are also just words until you have to put that to action. You know what I'm saying? Like when you in it, now it's like I have to be this thing that I said. I have to live by those vows. So like you want the marriage, you love the person, but now you have to figure out like what is this? Like like what does this really mean?
Because they glamorize the wedding and the marriage.
That's
They
what I was
don't know the
finna
real.
say.
Like it's like, oh, we're gonna get married on, whatever the date is, that we're gonna have this huge wedding and all these things. But it's like, okay, once all the glitz and glamour is done and you get married, you say I do. Everybody came to your wedding, they posted the pictures. Now what?
Listen.
Now 5 years later, you all have kids. Let's say your husband loses his job. Let's say a spouse loses a parent. Let's say all this life is happening, and it's like you literally signed up for this. And it's like, but people they only think during the marriage and the wedding, oh, this is what it's about.
You don't know what you don't know.
I feel like marriage, wedding, like that whole kind of process spill is like Santa Claus for adults.
I always think the fairy tale.
Right? So it's like, it's all of the stuff we condition, the music, the noise, the songs, where it's like, we're looking for this, and then the vows is like the cookies you set out for Santa.
Agree, 100%.
Right? Where it's like, this is what we're supposed to do. This is what they told us to do. This is how the vows go, and we might remix them a little bit for our own personal piece. But here's like the cake and batter, right? When it's not so much. Obviously, I'm not married. We talking about marriage and kids, and we ain't got
No, but we agree though. I agree. Like I couldn't imagine being with somebody and not knowing like what I know now.
I mean, forget the date. Forget marriage. I'm not gonna date somebody for 10 years that I don't like.
Yeah,
for sure.
But even in general too, like there's a lot of people, and I forgot who told me this. I don't know who. Jasmine or someone else. They were like the percentage of women as millennials who like have kids now. I think it's like 30% compared to before. It was like 80% in our past generation. Like we're also, since we have more rights, right? Since things have changed. Well, I don't know about recently with the lawmaking and everything, but in general, like it's okay to never have kids if you don't want to as a woman, right? Like,
no matter if you're 35,
you aren't built just to reproduce kids. Unpopular opinion, right? Like there's so many ways you can live your life. If you want to be single, it's okay, right? It's like you can live however you want to live. You don't want to adopt.
If you want to have a baby with a friend, listen. The options are limitless. Like I feel like we are not in a box. The box does not exist. So do whatever you want to do.
Access.
Yeah, and I just want to caveat too in saying like I give a lot of people compassion because like we all know the Carbondale experience. Some people who are from Carbondale, small towns, like it's hard when everyone thinks like you do. When you come from a smaller town where everyone has the same mentality, you're gonna be so solid in your opinion because that's all you know. Right? But when you come from bigger cities or where you travel, the more you learn, the more you know that you don't know. And so you become more open. So you give compassion to people who are so opinionated because maybe they just come from one part, right?
Absolutely.
True.
Yeah. Awesome. So great conversation.
Shout out.
Great
Be great.
Man,
Real estate Nate.
Hey, Honcho, what do you prefer?
Right.
That was gonna be my next thing. Like, how do
Chief reality officer, chief positivity
I love
officer.
That too.
Hey, I'm still those, bro.
But like, what's you all social media? Like, what can we expect for you all? Like, what can we expect like going forward? Like,
social media handles first. Let people know what to find you.
Social media, head, HEAD _HONKHO _ Facebook, Nate Randall.
Brittany Greathouse, Instagram, literally just my full name at Brittany Greathouse. LinkedIn, you can literally Google Brittany Greathouse, and literally everything is there, or just put like "Be Great" and it'll pop up. So cool. Minus the E for Be Great.
All right, another exceptional episode. We had exceptional guests.
Man, y'all,
and I appreciate y'all for having us on.
Man,
the
perspectives.
I love y'all perspectives.
The expertise on certain topics. Right, I think a lot of things y'all talked about was very knowledgeable and also inspiring. Right, so
we could have went for a long time.
Keep going, but keep doing what y'all doing. Another episode of Alexander's Approach. Make sure to follow, share on Facebook, Instagram, subscribe. Get them subscribers up on YouTube. Make sure y'all commenting. The clip's gonna be coming soon. We'll have more dope guests on the way. So again, we appreciate y'all. Keep rocking with us. On that note, Alexander's Approach. We out. Peace.